That way we can get everybody going through the program. Kevin, is there anything you want to say before we get started? Anything that you've noticed just with, several of the dealers that you've worked with, or really, anything specific? Because on the call, we're definitely going to talk about closing and really how to maximize the usage of the program. Is there anything you'd like to say first?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we always find in our sales training at the factory is people want to learn more about closing. They want to get right down to the bottom line. And so I figure that's a good place to start, and this is really at the end with closing, but also for you to cover kind of the ins and outs and the advantages and the strength that you can get from using what we've got online with Master Spas University. And really encouraging people to do that as well. So I know it's a busy year for our dealers. Most dealers are having really, really good years, and it's hard to find the time to do this stuff, but it's an important part of the success that can be had.
Okay. Yeah, and so for really anybody, any type of greats or anybody who's great in selling, the practice and the repetition never stops, right? And so years ago when you would go to seminars and you would spend a half a day out and you would go sit in actual workshops and try to learn something, and then who knows if you would retain all that information moving forward after 30 days. Now with digital technology and the university that Master Spas is invested in, you guys have the access to be able to do maybe 10, 15 minutes every day so that you guys can stay up to speed. And so, really, there's really one really important thing to understand about the actual training that you're going to find inside the Master Spas University. So when you look at any type of sales training, and you look at what any companies train on, there's three major components, and it's extremely important that you really understand that. That way you know what to find inside Master Spas University. Number one, product knowledge training, and that's what you're going to get from the manufacturer, and that's what you guys are going to train on all the time. You got to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the new products, how they work, how they operate, so that way when you're in the demonstration of your product, you're able to handle any type of questions, you're able to present the product, you're able to show the features, the benefits. You're not really going to find any of that at all inside the program except for what you're going to find inside the company training right here. There's going to be some content inside company training that you can go into, and when you go inside there, there's going to be videos that they've already loaded up so that you could go in. The other piece that you want to look at when looking at sales training is going to be industry-specific training. Okay, so we've got product knowledge and industry-specific training, and that's what the company training tab handles for you going into the program. So you guys are going to be able to go inside the content, actually look inside the company training. Typically, product knowledge and industry-specific, those two things represent what you're currently getting for your closing ratio. Those two things alone. Where the Master Spas University with Grant Cardone's content comes into place is everything after that. So let's just say you close at, let's just say 25%. For some reason, 75% of the time, people are coming through your sales process and they're not being closed. And what happens is that typically comes down to proper skill or way to get back in front of somebody or understanding the actual customer and why they're not buying. And that's why this program is designed specifically to be able to teach you those extra pieces, that extra skill. And the only way that you get good at that is if you do it every single day and do about 10, 15 minutes every single day. I do a lot of this in my car. I do it in the mornings. It's fast. It's easy. You can do it on your phone. I do all my training over the phone. And so it should be pretty quick. And so for you having a record-setting year as a dealer, what you want to look at is, why are we having a record-setting year right now? Is it because things are so great in the economy, or is it because the product's so unbelievable, things are great? Is it because I'm a master salesperson, closer? There's a lot of factors that come into play. And what you want to look at is, look, how do I get it all when the opportunities are good? And that's where the Master Spas University comes into play, because it's going to help you stay strong every single day. While you've got different things happening all over, you've got customers with different problems, you got bad things in the news almost every single day. You know, you're not the only one who's being affected by that. Your customers are being affected by that. They're thinking about all the things that are happening in the economy with all the different money, and now they're thinking, man, do we need an extra expense like this? And so that's what happens when deals don't get done typically, because that 25% of the time you guys are going to get the deal done. But the other percent is somebody who may not be certain on the deal. And where Master Spas University comes in, it comes in with the communication piece of the program, of the actual communication of your sales process, how to really get somebody so sold on the product that you're going to be able to get them to a place where we can ask them for the business and maybe have 3, 4, 5 different ways to handle some of those objections that they have. And that's where you're going to find it inside theory of closing and closing strategies. So these two strategies right here. So the theory of closing is everything you need to know about how to understand where the customer's at in the close, what should be expected of you in the close, what type of objections you should expect. And so if you have a better understanding of this every day, and if I'm training on this content for 10, 15 minutes every day, and it's what I'm thinking about all the time, then I've got a better expectation going into the deal. I don't get halted when somebody says, hey, look, this product is a little bit too much money. I can get a better deal somewhere else. Hey, we're going to go shop around, or I don't even know if we need this right now, or look, I need to talk to my spouse because, you know, we didn't really think that we were going to buy something today. I just wanted to stop in and take a look. And so now all of a sudden the deal gets halted. But what we need to be able to do is be able to help push through that and be able to provide ourselves with actual closing strategies to get the deal done. Because look, 25% of the time, if that's what your closing ratio is, you're going to get that deal. But what we're looking for is, look, how do we pick up extra business, extra opportunities right now while there is not a better time? I mean, your guys' business is booming right now, and so now would be the ideal time to maybe apply a little bit more pressure inside of a close or be able to handle different objections. So what I want you guys to think about is, look, the number on this program is 6 segments every single day. With the average video being about 3 minutes long, you're going to be looking at doing training for maybe 15 to 25 minutes, depending on what type of videos you run into for the morning. And so what I do is every single day is I come in and I want to look at training on closing content so I can go in. The theory of closing is going to get my head right and understanding about what to actually do inside the close. What mistakes might I make? What strategies should I actually use to set up? And then closing strategies is going to be 219 different ways to handle objections. The other piece that you guys want to look at, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's going to be different workshops and live events. So if you guys have ever been to like a closing seminar or a closing event where the only topic that you discussed for 4 hours was only closing, we've got that content inside here. And so when you look inside live web trainings, there's a 5-hour event just on closing the deal, the art of closing the deal. This is a little bit longer of a workshop. These videos are all broken down into 10-minute segments. So they're very fast, and they're designed specifically for you to be able to handle any type of situation so that you can take that closing percentage that you have right now and you can increase it by 10, 15, 20, 30%. That way we can have a better shot, a better opportunity of closing business while things are really great right now. I want to be grabbing everything that I can. Okay, if you guys know anything about, you know, the way the economy works, look, when the window's wide open, I want to pull as much opportunity through it as possible. And so for me, I know that, you know, just understanding the product and having a great understanding of it is not going to get the deal done every single time. I've got to have some skills. So when you guys come inside here as well, there's going to be actual content to really train on that goes even deeper. There's going to be live workshops on closing seminars. Okay, so you can train on these. We broke them all down so that you can go through the content and handle any type of problem, any type of objection, because the average salesperson really only operates with just a couple different closes. So, guys, what questions do you have while we're inside the program right now? Because I want to look at, you know, what questions, what things do you run into? What are the number one objections that you get when you're sitting inside one of your situations, inside your sales process? What are people telling you?
Price is too high and I got to think about it.
Okay, good. So if I click on handling objections up at the top, I'm going to go into several different closes right here. There's 219 different ways. So I've got 45 different ways to handle any type of money objection. I've got them broken down into it's too much money, the down payment, the payment, can I even afford it? And then I've got all these stall closes right here. And so we've got money objections where people are telling us, hey, look, the price is too high. Well, look, they knew what the price was going to be before they even got there. And you guys know how many of your customers already have this type of product versus how many customers are brand new to buying a spa?
You guys think 70% brand new, 75% brand new customers?
Yeah, I think so. You know, so some of those customers have an expectation of what the price is, but we have a lot of customers that come in thinking, oh, we thought these were $5,000.
Okay. And what's the actual price of probably something like that?Maybe $10,000. I know it goes all the way up.
Yeah.
But what's your
average average price at a our average price at a show is probably going to be, you know, in the $8,000 to $10,000 price range, somewhere in there. We have some products that sell for $6,000 to $7,000, but for the most part, we're going to be in that $8,000 to $10,000 price range, and then our high end goes up to, you know, $12,000 to $14,000.
Okay. And how would I typically pay for this? Would I be paying on payments?
You could finance it, but typically we're trying to collect half down on deposit and the balance on delivery, whether it's a credit card, check, cash.
Okay, perfect. So you've got somebody who's already got an expectation that they're going to spend $5,000 when they get there. We don't need to close them on $8,000 or $10,000. Let's just call it 10. They're already sold on the 5. We need to close them on the next 5. Right? And so, you know, some salespeople, they get all caught up in, you know, the money's the objection when really it's not. Look, people really only buy things to solve problems. And even when you're thinking about this type of purchase, you're thinking, well, you know, I don't know if they buy it just to solve a problem. Some people just want to buy it just because they want to be able to have that type of lifestyle where they can come, they can relax, they can enjoy this at their home, right? Which is actually solving a problem. Dude, I need something relaxing to do while I'm at my home. So I need to really dig down in. And so that's where not just the closing content inside the program is really important, but actually diving into, you know, what it looks like inside fact finding. Are we setting the presentation up the right way so that way when we get to a close, you know, we've got somebody fully sold on the actual situation of, you know, dude, why are you even doing this? Why would you want to do this and actually install this into your home, your business, wherever you're going to be placing this? And so these different objections that you're going to see right inside here are really just strategies and word tracks to be able to use. And so when I'm using different types of money, down payment or payment, you know, somebody doesn't want to put the $5,000 down and then finance the second half of it, you know, how many down payment closes do I actually know and understand, right? And so, you know, they're all broken down right here. There's 14 different ones that we could actually use. And so when I'm talking about, you know, 10, 15 minutes of training every single day, I'm talking about going inside the system right here and actually watching a video that's really going to be 16 seconds long. And so I'm probably going to watch this 3, 4, 5 different times. That way I can practice it, drill it, rehearse it. So Grant's talking about, you know, look, hey, you don't want to pay the down payment. Totally understand that. Look, are you saying that the funds are not available or you're not comfortable with this type of down payment for a purchase like this, right? And so where we can really start digging into what's the actual situation, what's this guy really thinking, right? And so there's going to be several different closes that you can use right inside here. What you would want to do is you should really pick the ones that are going to work best for you and then practice them, drill them. I mean, repetition is how you're going to be able to get good at this. And so when you go in and actually dig into this piece right here, there's several different ways to do it, but we've got to understand everything up front, right? And so we got to get somebody sold on the $5,000. Now, if I was going to finance that second $5,000, the other half of the actual purchase, how long would I do that for?
What's
6 months, 12 months, 24 months?
Yeah. What's the normal financing that's being used out there by the dealers?
12 months. 12 months. Yeah, I would say 12 months is certainly one of the most popular, but there's also a program that Green Sky offers that we use a lot, which is a 120-month program at a 9.9 interest rate to the consumer.
120 months?
So, yeah.
Excellent.
On hot tubs, though, 5,000. Talking 60 months and 12 months.
Okay. So, even at that broken down, I mean, somebody who's purchasing a spa like this to put in their home, even at 12 months, we're looking at, financing 5,000. I mean, it's $400 a month. So what you would want to be able to do, guys, you got to be able to break that down and help them really understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. The only reason that they would not want to do this, the only reason that it would be too much money is because they don't think that they're going to use it. Because if they came home every single day and they sat in that sauna, I think they could probably make sense of it for $13 a day. It's pretty simple. So what we got to really be able to dig into is, look, sir, the only reason that anybody would ever, suggest that, the price is too high on a product like this that they want is because they don't think they're going to actually use it over an extended period of time. Is that true for you? Or, you want to be able to dive into some sort of questionnaire of that matter and really pull out the actual objection. It's kind of like when you go into the stall closes right here, and Grant talks about, the spouse stall objection, where somebody tells you, look, I got to talk to my wife. Excellent, sir. Definitely would suggest that you talk to your wife. Let me ask you this. What's she going to say? Is she going to say no to the purchase, or is she going to say no to the price, the payments, or even the down payment of a product like this? And he's either going to break out and actually say, look, she's probably going to say, yeah, let's do it because we've been talking about it for at least a year. Excellent, sir. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing done. She probably already knows you're here. You talked to her before you got here. This is the right decision. You've been thinking about it for 12 months. Look, let's go ahead and get this thing done now. Let's get it done. It would have been a rash decision 12 months ago when you guys first started talking about it. Okay? Or he's going to say, look, she's not going to be comfortable with the down payment like this. Right? And so that's where you're going to be able to dive in. So the guy who's actually using the spouse stall objection, he's really giving you what his objection is. His objection is the $5,000 down payment. So how do we make sense of that? So this is where when you get somebody all the way through the sales process, when we're diving into the fact-finding pieces, when we're actually installing the proper questions, we're getting somebody to really understand, look, what problem are they trying to solve while they're here? What problem are they looking to solve when doing this? I mean, what would you say is the number one reason why somebody puts this inside their home or their business?
Well, for therapy, I would say.
Okay, perfect. What else?
Just relax. Family time.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, these guys they're looking to solve a problem. Everybody who purchases this product is looking to solve a problem. I mean, the guy who's looking to relax is looking to solve a problem. So I've got to understand that, and that's what you're going to learn inside the theory of closing the deal. That's what you're going to learn, like why people actually buy things and how you can close them. Because if you don't understand the full process of, look, why this guy's really doing the deal, what his situation is, the therapy situation, look, $400 a month. If he's got real problems, look, he's spent way more than $10,000 on any type of problems that he's had previously, right? This is to solve the problem of making sure, that doesn't happen again. Okay, so what questions do you guys have right now while we're on the call?
Well, for me, I guess, in talking about the problem solving, or the customer's trying to resolve a problem when they're looking at a hot tub, it's just how much are they willing to spend to solve that problem.
No, we went over there. He says they don't have anything. They don't have any stickers or surprises.
Yeah. In probably most cases, if they've had a problem before, they've spent some sort of money on something else. And so what they're thinking is, what I would suggest, and based off the training that I've had, I would suggest that somebody's probably thinking that they're not going to do this because they wouldn't use it. they don't think that they're going to come home, or they don't think it's going to work. So what is it for them?
So what do you say to the customer there? I mean, that's kind of a loaded question a little bit. If you say to a customer, I mean, would you actually say to somebody, are you afraid you're not going to use it? I mean, you don't want to bring up a negative, right?
No, I mean, for us, and you know, what Grant Cardone has found in his training is that, you know, look, confronting different problems is what gets people to open up about it so that they can handle their situation. I mean, that's the first thing I always tell somebody. Look, the only reason that somebody would have an issue with paying $14,000 for a product like this, sir, is because they don't think they're going to use it. Is that true? No, I'm going to use it. Okay, good, man. Let's get this done. Let's get this thing done and get it going. Or what's he going to tell you? Yeah, I don't know if I would use it. Excellent. Sir, have you done something like this in the past where you didn't use it? Well, I've never made a purchase this big before. Right? So he's basically thinking about, he's really thinking in his head one objection, and he's giving you a spouse stall. Man, his wife knows he's there. You know, he knew how much money it was going to be before he showed up. He's probably looked at it online. This isn't the first time he's come to get some information about it. And so he's using that objection for his idea of usage. I mean, that's what I would suggest. So what I always do is I confront it so that way I can have them, you know, open up about it. I mean, would you guys agree with that? Maybe opening it up to saying, you know, hey, look, the only reason somebody would say that a product like this that provides the value that it does for somebody who needs it, the only time they would say it's too much money is if they don't think they're going to use it.
Well, Steve, the one thing that I would disagree with that, only because when you go to buy a car, you can look online and get an idea of what that car is. But in our world, the only online pricing you're typically seeing is Chinese built stuff that's usually $3 to $4 grand. And so they go in there with an unrealistic expectation. I wish they had the $5 to $6 grand in their head already, which they don't. A lot of times it's way lower than that.
Okay. Actually, yeah, and that's where I was. Yeah, and that's where I was suggesting. You know, look, they're already sold on the $4 or $5 grand. We got to bump them $3.
I think
would you agree with
I think
that?
a lot of the fact to.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I think it relates a lot to having the customer come to an agreement that the money they're spending is worth the problem they're trying to solve. So whether that's family time, whether that's therapy, you know, and they've got to justify that. So we've got to, I think, really dig into the problem they're trying to solve and convince them that this is not only worth it, but this is like 10 times worth what they're trying to solve.
Oh.
You know, so if they've got bad feet, well, what's the value in the Master Blasters? You know, well, you're going to not only be able to stand up and work on the concrete floor all day, but you know what? You're going to feel like you can go for, 10 laps around the track as well after work, after you sit in this hot tub. And so I think we've got to really come to a state where the customer is totally buying into the value of the product far outweighs the, what he's trying to solve.
I think this is I think this is a really good topic, and I think a lot of salespeople out there are afraid to confront the problem. I think a lot of salespeople view it as some other obstacle or hurdle that they have to overcome. And what you're saying is, no, just confront it head on, hit them between the eyes with it. And I think that's an eye opener.
Well, the other thing too that I would say is, as salespeople, sometimes we're also afraid to know why they didn't buy. So it's almost easier for us to say that, well, they weren't going to buy, instead of actually finding and digging into the real reason why they're going to buy, which again goes back to the customer just didn't feel justified yet. They weren't given enough good reasons to purchase yet. Whether they're walking into a showroom or going to a large sales event. I mean, nowadays, both those avenues are destinations that the customer is having to seek out. It's not like they're just wandering into a hot tub store. It's It's not like they're just wandering into and trying to kill a Saturday afternoon by going to visit a sale. I mean, they know what they're getting into when they walk through any of those doors. But from a salesperson's side, I think sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, they were just tire kickers. They weren't really looking.
Right.
And more than likely, that's not the case.
They obviously took the time, got in the car, and drove down there knowing they were looking at hot tubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And I agree with that in that everyone is potentially a buyer. At the end, you've got to flesh it out at the end, or else you're not doing your job as a salesperson. And part of that is what Tim Blake talks about, and that is there any other reason other than the price that's giving you pause? I mean, if you don't at least do that, you're not doing your job.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. And it might go back to the fact that maybe the customer or the potential customer is thinking that they may not use it as often as, the price more or less requires them to. I mean, we've all heard somebody say, well, yeah, my neighbor has one, or I know my brother or sister have one, and they don't use it really much anymore. So, I mean, that's certainly an objection out there for people that are familiar with hot tubs, but that can be used for really most any product out there as well. It's just getting down to that bottom line, and I think, like we're talking about, not being afraid to jump into that arena and digging in to why the customer's hesitant to pull the trigger.
How do we get the sales guys to do that at shows? That's the thing. We see sales guys bounce customers left and right, and then some of those customers end up getting sold later on by a sales guy who's willing to invest the time. But we have so many sales guys out there that are just looking to shortcut. They don't follow this stuff, and they think they're great and everything, but a lot of the reason they sell and they're successful at these shows is because it's a contained audience. I mean, they're there for one reason, to look at hot tubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's
well, I think that can be
challenge I run
that's
into.
both at the sales and in the showrooms. I think in the showrooms, I think you can run into the fact that well, this person will be back. They're going to come back, and that's
right.
That bus doesn't come back too often nowadays.
Nope.
As I think you bring up a bunch of great points there, and a lot of, I think, what the whole discussion that you guys had is really based on this piece of the program right here, the sales process. And so, what I would suggest too is having everybody get through this content, fact finding, presentation, trial closing, and actually getting somebody to sit down so that we can put a proposal in front of them. And so I think a lot of the content inside fact finding has a lot to do with what you guys are talking about, really just setting somebody up to help them understand, and then being able to drop in questions. As we're going through the presentation at the actual event, we're asking people, hey, what do you like best about what you've seen so far? Or dropping in some soft trial closing questions that, are suggesting that, sir, I mean, it seems like this may be a right fit for what you're looking for. Is that true? And let these people open up, man, and let them get this whole thing set out. That way they can work out their own situation that they have, because, we've got an opportunity. I mean, you guys are right. These guys aren't coming to the shows just to kick tires. If a salesperson says that, then it's probably a huge misunderstanding of what's happening, because, not saying you're going to close 100%, but most of the time we can get people to sit down and actually get a proposal in front of them. And if we do a better job at this piece right here inside the sales process, it makes the close a lot easier. And so fact finding is everything you need to know and understand about, look, how do we set the presentation up the right way? Because, I think you guys would probably agree that every customer that you have, they don't all buy for the exact same reason. And so the presentation may look a little bit different. I can't just, run off features and benefits and hope that everybody buys. At some point, my sales skills have to kick in. And so now I've got to be able to know why and how to be able to do that. And so fact finding sets it up. Presentation shows you how to really dig into it. And then now I want to be able to drop in those type of trial closing questions. Look, when you invest in something like this, sir, what type of value are you looking to get? well, man, I want to be able to have something for me and my family to be able to relax and be in for, you know, a couple nights out of the month, or maybe even a couple nights out of the week. Excellent, sir. Look, you're going to be doing this for the next 10 years. I mean, how do you make sense of spending an extra $5,000 on something that you guys are going to use for the next 10 years? And so this is where you guys can really dig into that piece right there and, you know, get to a point to where, look, we can actually write this thing up. We can get a proposal in front of a guy, you know, because I know you guys talk about, look, how do we get more proposals in front of people? This is how we get more sales. And this part of the program sets up the close. So, you know, I think everybody talks about the close, and they want to hear about the closing because, you know, it seems to be the hardest part about the actual sales process. You know, but based off what I heard from you guys, I think, you know, maybe you've even witnessed some salespeople making shortcuts that are causing us to not even be able to have an opportunity in the close. And if that happens, then, yeah, I mean, money objections are definitely going to come up. And then there's going to be a misunderstanding. And then what about follow-up? How much time have you guys spent on follow-up? Because I think I heard somebody mention that, you know, sometimes they're hoping they come back, or sometimes, you know, the deal gets done, but it's done by somebody else.
Yeah, I think most of what we as a company have tried to push onto our dealer network and the salespeople is following up on leads. We've also discussed following up like leads through the internet and things like that. We've been trying to make a push and have more discussion now about following up on people that you have talked to but haven't sold, and that's been certainly a challenge, particularly at offsite events, whether that's a state fair, a home show, or a large sales event where the salespeople are not really capturing the names of the people that they're talking to. So we've been trying to change that culture a little bit and say, hey, you know what, if you talk to 100 people at a fair or at a home show, but are only selling 30 spas, well, there's 70 people out there that you didn't sell. If you can even just collect those names and get 10% of those people afterwards, that's 7 more sales. So
well,
that makes...
Steve Sharp was just making a comment, Kevin, that product called the Retail Up program that doesn't allow the salesman can't go get another up till he enters the information.
Interesting.
You guys
see if we can get
texting
Sean
them
Kearns on
in the
that
middle of
program.
Well, yeah, but he'd have to write 3 at one time. So.
Right.
Have you guys tried texting them in the middle of the sales process?
I heard about it from Sean Kearns.
I'm sorry, say that again, Steve.
Have you guys tried texting them in the middle of the sales process?
Yeah. So how do you go about that?
Well, what's everybody looking for when they come to the show? They're looking for information. So if we can get something on our phone where a salesperson knows, you know, look, we're going to send somebody all the information, or, you know, what I'm sure they probably hand out business cards, right?
Yeah, a lot of
you guys
people
ever taken a
for sure.
You guys ever pulled your phone out, put it up, and said, sir, look, appreciate you coming to the event. I want to take a selfie picture with you. Oh, yeah, whoever turns that down? Nobody. And then turn and say, where can I text it to? Nobody's going to turn that down. You know, so now we start gathering information. If we can get a salesperson who, you know, has more confidence and understanding of, you know, look, 80% of all transactions happen between the 5th and 12th follow-up, which is what they're going to find inside the facts of follow-up. And so what that's going to help them understand is that, you know, look, people who are hitting the internet, people who are coming to the shows, not everybody's going to buy there. That doesn't mean they're not buying. But as a salesperson, we've got to be able to capture their, if I don't have their contact information, I don't know how to get a hold of them. And an email address is filled with so much spam that most people aren't checking emails that often. I mean, you know, and a lot of times they give you a junk email, you know, because they know, man, I'm going to get hit with a bunch of information. I just need something to go check real quick. I got to have that cell phone number. So if I'm going to send somebody through a presentation, look, I'm going to say, sir, look, I'm going to send you all the information. Where can I text it to?
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, thank you for dropping by today. Look, we're going to get you all the information. Look, I want to take a picture of this actual model right here with you next to it. This looks like it's going to be the right one for you, and then where can I text it to? I mean, what's the worst thing the guy's going to say? No. And anytime anybody tells me that they're not going to give me their cell phone, I just kind of laugh off. I'm going to text you the picture. For the most part, most people, they're open to it. I mean, and then if the guy's even that worried about it, he's going to say, look, man, just don't blow me up on my phone. And that's where I assure somebody, look, sir, I'm never going to call your cell phone. I'm going to send you the information we discussed right now. That way you have it. Look, it seems like you like what you've seen today. Is that true? And then that's where we got to be able to dive back into the sale and the actual piece that we found inside the sales process. But this follow-up piece would be a great strategy to follow through. So when you guys are looking at handling internet leads, when you guys are looking at contact a customer, this is laid out. It says same day contact, day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, all the way down. And so when you have a salesperson who's trained on what to say on those particular days, we've got a better opportunity to really gain and maintain the attention of somebody, which is what we're actually looking for. So what do you guys like best about that? Do you guys like the idea of having a follow-up strategy that's laid out that says, hey, here's how to actually stay in front of somebody?
Absolutely. Sure.
And these videos are fast, and so for the salespeople who tell you that they don't have time, I mean these videos are 48 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
And for how much you guys spend on leads and how to get somebody, this is where you want to sit somebody down and say, hey, look, figure out what to do. It's inside the follow-up tool. You can pull it up on your phone. That way you know exactly what to do and what to say. Okay, so do you guys have any other questions or anything that we might be able to cover on today's call? Just because there's a lot of content inside here, including, handling those internet leads. What's the responses look like, the follow-ups, the closing, what's actually prospecting. This would actually be a really good piece for, any salespeople inside of a dealer who, they're trying to work leads that already know who they are. They've been to a show, they've been to the actual location, they've hit the website, they know the salesperson, they've talked to somebody 12 months ago, 24 months ago. That's what this whole piece is about right here, prospecting strategies, how to work a warm list.
Mm-hmm.
So especially for
I think those are great things. Yeah, those are great things for future calls, I would say, for sure.
Sure,
so,
absolutely. And this would be great to really send them through. And so that way you don't really have to guess when you make a phone call to somebody who, maybe you're trying to, maybe they bought one, 10 years ago and you're trying to flip somebody out of something. If that's available, that phone call is here. If you're trying to call somebody in your power base who already knows you, they know who Kevin is, they know the deal. Look, I just need to know what that call looks like, because it's a little bit different than maybe somebody else who I'm trying to convert an unsold client. Right, and so this is where all the different calls are, so that I can pop in, I can rewatch the video before I make the call and actually guess every time I pick up the phone or get in front of a customer. Okay, so if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to let you go, because I want to make sure to get everything handled for you.
Excellent. Sounds good. Thank you, Steve.
All right, guys, thank you a lot for your time today. And if you guys ever need anything, feel free to give us a call, so that way we can help you all out. Okay, you guys have a great day.
All right,
thank you too.
All right, thank you. All right, bye.